The film begins with a girl named Clarice, who has a superpower and is trying to escape from the police. Clarice's power is that she can open portals to teleport from one place to another, and the police arrest anyone with powers, calling them mutants. While running away, she encounters a group of 3 mutant friends who are gathering all the mutants to form a single team led by Johann. Johann's power is that he can track footprints and hear sounds from far away. With him is his best friend, Marcos, who can emit a strong white light from his hand, along with heat, and lastly, Lauren, Marcos's girlfriend, who can control anything made of iron or magnets. When they find her and calm her down to join their team, the police arrive. A chase begins between the police and the 3 or 4 mutants, ending with Marcos taking a bullet. But these bullets don't kill, which heavily upsets his girlfriend Lauren, causing her to brutally beat the officer in front of her. In the end, they all escape except for Lauren, who doesn't know how to escape and gets arrested. Away from that, we have Mr. Reed and Mrs. Kate, both at the school, because their son is constantly bullied. The father, with a very serious look, stares at the teacher and tells him he will sue the school if this happens again. After he leaves, his wife is amazed by the 10/10ths acting performance he just pulled off. So, what does Reed actually do for a living? We'll find out later. Then we go to the rest of the family, Andy and his sister Lauren, Laura. Later, we see Reed going to Laura after she was caught, and we learn that Reed's job is to interrogate mutants and arrest them, meaning he's the one who hates mutants the most. But when he approaches her, it looks like he wants to help her, and it seems he isn't entirely against mutants, to the point that he risks his life and enters her room, not caring if she could hurt him or not. And she actually does hurt him because he has screws in his leg, and she can control them. She just wanted to show him she could hurt him, but she wouldn't. However, when he pulls out a file with secret information about her, all hell breaks loose. What's in this file? We'll find out. Anyway, Lauren, Andy's sister, was going to a party with her friends to meet her boyfriend. Andy tells her he's coming along because he has no friends and is sitting alone. She feels bad for her brother, and they both go to the party together. She, of course, meets her boyfriend, while he sits alone until the bullies arrive. They take him to a separate room because he had snitched on them to the principal, and they start torturing him by pouring hot water on him. With all the torture and pressure, Andy's powers explode for the first time, and it turns out to be one of the strongest powers in the show because it almost brings the whole place down. His sister Lauren tries to run and help him, and it is revealed that she also has superpowers, but no one in her family knew. She actually reaches him and saves him. Back to our guys. Marcos is upset about his girlfriend Laura and wants to go to the prison to free her, but they can't. The girl who opens portals is sick, and besides, she has never been to that prison, and she can't go to places she doesn't know. Back to our kids. Andy and Lauren were caught on video, identified as the cause of the problem, and received the harshest punishments because they are mutants. Their mother is basically in shock. She didn't know her kids were mutants, and her husband constantly fights mutants. The kids themselves are shocked that they are mutants with superpowers, because in the world we are in, normal humans sentence mutants to the harshest punishments, reaching up to death or life in prison just for being a mutant. What's the reason? You'll know in the upcoming episodes. But what we do know is that the girl knew she had powers for 3 years, but didn't tell her family because she was scared. She even reminded her mom, saying, "Remember that accident where you thought we survived by a miracle? It wasn't a miracle. I used my powers. Here, a police force, higher than the FBI, arrives to arrest the kids. The mother naturally defends her children, but she gets pushed and falls. Her son sees this humiliation, which causes his emotions to flare up and his powers to activate, but his sister tries to calm him down so they can all escape. They actually get into the car, escape, and reach a telephone booth. Kate calls her husband Reed and tells him both his kids are mutants. He is shocked at first and doesn't know how to act, so they decide to meet at a diner. At the diner, he says that his job doesn't matter. All the years he spent fighting mutants don't matter. He doesn't need any of that in front of his family, and he will do anything to save them. Because of his job and the experience he gained, he knows a guy who can smuggle mutants out, but he needs that guy's file from his old office. Since he can't go back to the office now that he, his wife, and kids are wanted, he sneaks around until he talks to a woman there to help him. Initially, she refused, saying she could get hurt or imprisoned, but he told her he had done many favors for her, and this is the last one, and he actually manages to get the file from her. After that, the siblings are chatting and walking, and this is the second time Andy uses his power, destroying a vending machine, which shows he still doesn't know how to control his power. Anyway, Marcos gets a call from Reed, and Reed tells him he works in arresting them. Of course, Marcos was going to hang up on him, but he said, "Wait, I can help your girlfriend and get her out of prison in exchange for you helping my family escape the country completely." The two actually meet and discuss the details. Reed tells him he knows all the entrances to the prison, and not only that, he gives him the information that his girlfriend Laura is pregnant. This was the reason Laura found out from the file, which made her angry and destroy everything. Marcos is shocked to learn his girlfriend is pregnant, but Reed won't help him until he smuggles his family out and they make a deal. They actually meet at a specific place to escape, but when they meet, the police arrive. How did they get there? Who is watching them? Or how did they know? You don't know. The police monitor everywhere in the city. They were about to get caught, but Marcos' friend, Johan, and the mutant girl arrive just in time and try to help them escape. Everyone uses their powers, and the weird things attacking them don't break or get destroyed, until finally, Clarice tries to open a portal for all of them to escape. But she's at the end of her energy and can't, and while everyone is defending, escaping, and jumping, the father ends up taking a bullet and getting caught, while the rest teleport, and the episode ends. Episode 2. We get a flashback to the old days before all these conversations happened. The family was playing bowling together, and there was a mutant girl everyone was bullying. When she accidentally used her powers, the police were about to arrest her and send her to hell if it weren't for the father going to her dad and telling him they had to leave the place. But Reed's daughter, who had hidden superpowers, felt insulted. Why should they leave just because they have powers? Her grandmother was watching the situation, looking surprised. I mentioned the grandmother, so you know it's her grandma and she has a role. Naturally, they want to go back to get the father from the place they escaped from. But Clarice, after opening the portal, collapsed and is now dying. To the point, dear viewer, that she starts opening portals involuntarily while unconscious. The police who arrested Reed shot him with a non-lethal paralyzing bullet, like a taser, and detained him for interrogation. Laura, after being imprisoned and put in a cell, let me tell you, heard so many insults and humiliations from every prisoner. She tried to use her power, but the collar around her neck shocked her. The new character in front of you is Matilda, Johan's girlfriend, but they couldn't speak a word. Clarice is dying. Her voice gets louder, and her breathing is heavy. Kate is a nurse and recognizes the condition, so she asks for some medicines to be brought from the hospital. They told her they are fugitive mutants and can't go to hospitals. She replied, "What? Are we going to let the girl die?" At the same time, the girl is opening portals and throwing things at them. And these are portals the police can peek through, meaning they can locate where they are hiding, which will expose them if they don't treat her. The father is being interrogated without knowing his charge. "What's the charge you're interrogating me for?" "Covering up terrorism," and he realizes his kids are now on the terrorist list. He asked for a lawyer, but they refused, saying, "Do you think you're in an amusement park?" Reed and Marcos head to a mutant-specific hospital to steal medicine to treat the girl and save her life. Meanwhile, Laura in prison is treated in the most despicable way, especially by the woman acting like the prison boss. In front of her was a mutant girl just like her, so Laura was happy that finally there was someone like her to be friends with, but the girl was a coward, told her not to talk to her again, and left her because mutants are treated brutally here. Reed, meaning Kate here, and Marcos arrived at the hospital. Of course, Marcos took a bullet in the first episode, but his blood is weird, as you can see, so he pretended to be injured, needing immediate care and a doctor, and Reed, meaning Kate, said she was his girlfriend. The doctor treats him and asks what caused the wound on his shoulder, knowing it's a bullet hole, but Marcos played him and said he fell and got hurt. The doctor noticed bruises on Kate's face, pulled her aside, and said, "I know mutants are dangerous, so if you love him, I advise you to leave him and take care of yourself," and left her. Johan and Matilda consider leaving the place with all the mutants in it because the police are starting to find out due to the portals. But Matilda says they won't make it in time, and where would they even go? So they cancel the idea. The father is still being interrogated, and the officer told him, "Look, I know they're your family, and you care about them." He started telling him he had a 7-year-old daughter named Lois who died in front of his eyes, so he knows what loss and a parent's love feels like. But he must help the state. All for the state. Kate dresses up in a nurse's uniform at the hospital, steals the medicine, and starts to leave. But on her way out, she sees the doctor talking to an officer and senses danger. Realizing he's reporting them, she rushes back to Marcos so they can escape the hospital, and they actually manage to flee. As for Laura in prison, she runs into the boss again, but this time, Laura wasn't afraid of her at all. In fact, she looked at her and said, "Probably a mutant snitched on you, and that's why you hate me." But Laura didn't finish her sentence before getting beaten. The boss knew she was pregnant, so she deliberately hit her in the stomach and beat her to a pulp. Laura tried to use her power, even if she got hurt, to fight back. She actually did, but eventually they dragged her and threw her into solitary confinement. Clarice, the sick girl, is in deadly pain, constantly opening portals. The police are ready to open one of the portals and attack. Everyone is trying to defend themselves, and more portals keep opening. At the same time, the father is being interrogated. And not only that, he discovers they have arrested his mother and are interrogating her too. The officer tells him, "Either you tell us where your family is, or your mother goes to prison." This was a huge leverage against him, seeing his mother trying to defend herself as much as possible. While escaping from the hospital, Kate wonders, how do mutants have no rights and get attacked in a hospital? Marcos looks at her and says mutants are treated much worse than that. When they arrive at the headquarters, they find the place completely chaotic, portals everywhere, and everyone trying to escape. Everyone except Kate, who says she won't run and goes inside to try and treat her because she is the only one who knows how to do it. She actually runs in, miraculously reaches her and injects her. Thank God. Clarice calms down, closes her portals. Everything is fine, and we manage to cure the girl. As for the imprisoned father, in a moment of despair, he found hope and told the officer, I know your investigations. I know you have nothing, and you're feeling desperate. What's the most you can do? Imprison me, and the case goes to hell. To give you this information, here are my conditions. Get me a lawyer, my family gets acquitted, and I take all the blame and go to jail. They have nothing to do with it. He started setting his own terms, but he would help the police catch all the mutants. A doctor appears at the end of the episode, looking at a crime from the 60s and linking it to the video of the boy Andy destroying the gym, looking very interested in it, and the episode ends. Episode 3. It starts with a small glimpse into Laura and Marcus's relationship. She asks him, when you first got your power, how did you use it, and what's your trick? She showed him that she wears accessories on her hands and feet to fly in a magical and dazzling way. As for him, when he first discovered his power, he just gathered some glass and made pretty reflections, but nothing as cool as Laura's. Then we leave her dreams and return to reality. The officer comes in and tells her, hand over your group and I'll give you a great deal. I'll open up visitations for you. An offer not to be missed. The guys are figuring out how to break into the prison, destroy it, and get her out. The mother stands among them and says, guys, let's be rational. Let's go to a minister, explain the situation, and get him on the mutant's side. They told her rationality doesn't work here, only fists and power. So stay aside, you and your kids. And she actually went to join her kids. Johan tries to get Clarice to strengthen her power, because ever since she recovered from her illness, her power started to fade or weaken. So Johan decided to train her. Matilda, his girlfriend, comes and asks him, why can't I use my power? Here we learn her power is that she can implant, erase, or manipulate memories. But he warned her not to do that with Clarice, because she did those tricks on several people before and caused problems. The problems weren't clarified. Anyway, at night, the mother wakes her kids up and says, I'm leaving to go to your uncle to convince him to help us and get your dad out of jail using his connections. But the kids decided not to leave their mom and went with her. As for the father with the officer, he handed Marcos over on a silver platter, revealing who Marcos is and that he is Commander Johan's right-hand man. Commander Johan tries to train Clarice on her powers, motivating her by saying, power comes from emotions. Think of the thing you love the most and would have to give up if you didn't use your power. That's when your power activates. Clarice says she has nothing she loves. She just loves jam sandwiches. Which, I don't know if it's true or what, but it's not very funny. During his training, he uses his tracking power and realizes the mother has run away with her kids. When he runs to her room, he finds it empty, and she actually escaped, but he knows she ran away to try and help the father diplomatically. Since he knows humans don't respond to diplomacy at all, he tells Marcos they must go help her. Why? Because if she gets caught, they'll discover the mutants' hideout, and all the mutants will be imprisoned next to Laura instead of saving her, so Marcos goes to help him. The kids are walking the city with no money, completely broke. The son says, what's the problem if we destroy them and destroy the world, just like they treat us terribly? He decides to destroy some ATMs and take the money from them, which shows the son has aggressive tendencies that will likely appear in the rest of the series, and here I'm just guessing. When Matilda sat with Clarice, she found out she had no loved ones, no exes, and had never been in a relationship before. Anyway, the mother actually went to her brother. He hugged her and said, "Welcome, sister. You and your kids light up the place." As soon as she told him she needed his help to get her husband out. "Well, sister, you didn't even sit and drink your tea. Take your kids and leave." He told her he couldn't help her other than giving her money. But as for using connections to get her husband out, he couldn't do that. It might get him imprisoned. She felt betrayed by her brother for the first time and told him, "I helped you with our mother before and never complained. Help me now." Her husband, Reed, and the officer are plotting and trap the first mutant they meet at the bar. Of course, the mutant doesn't trust him at all and tells him he could kill him right now. The father says, "I've already lost everything. You either help me and show me your hideout or kill me. It's easier for me." So the mutant believes him, senses his desperation, and takes him along with two other mutants, a mother and her daughter, to a mutant facility where they hide. But the little girl was very sweet, and the mother too. When the mother saw he was sad, she started touching him and using her ability to take away your sorrow, making him happy and cheerful. You can tell he feels guilty that he's about to hand all these people over to the police. As for the boy, while playing with his cousin in his room, the cousin brings him a trophy and says, "Use your power. I want to watch." He couldn't use it, but then a situation happened where he saw his girlfriend on Instagram walking with another boy, so he got mad and destroyed the trophy. The mom walks in at that moment, but it's nothing, ma'am. Go back to sleep. But viewer, the moment arrives when the father is supposed to hand the people over. He is actually in the car with them, heading to the mutant facility, but he notices the little girl is sad for him and wishes him and his family a happy life. The guilt was killing him. At that moment, he confessed to them and decided to jump out of the car so he wouldn't hurt them. The mutant realizes this, activates his power, and hides the car. The officer tells him, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life, and you will regret it." Laura, sitting alone in despair, decides to use all her power, even if the caller kills her, pushing until she passes out. The officer and a female cop arrive to check on her. When Kate wakes up, she finds Johan and Marcos there, and they tell her, "The police could come to you at any time and put us all in danger." She tells them, "No, I'm at my brother's, and my brother will help me." They try to make her understand that he wouldn't be able to do anything because people and the police hate mutants. They barely finished talking when the brother walked in. And not just the brother. The police arrived and surrounded the entire house. She wonders who reported them. And it turns out her nephew has sent an email to his friend about the destroyed trophy, and the police track the email to the house. The father knows the police officer, tries to step outside to negotiate peacefully, but the officer hits him in the face with his gun and barges in, determined to arrest them. Marcos uses his power to try and escape, then calls Matilda and tells her to make Clarice open a portal to help them. They tell Clarice to open a portal, but she says, "I can't. My power stopped working." So what did Matilda do? She implanted memories in Clarice, making her believe she deeply loves and adores Johan. So, with all her might, driven by the fake memories, she opened a massive portal. They get hit by a car, run, and jump through this portal. When they are safe, the first thing Clarice does when she sees Johan is run to him and hug him. He doesn't understand, but he likely figured out. Matilda implanted those memories despite his previous warnings, but she told him there was no other way to save him. The doctor called the officer and told him, "I need Andy. If you catch him, he'll help us." But the officer hung up on him, saying they don't deal with doctors. But there's a mystery behind the doctor that will appear at the end. Kate's brother told her, "I'll help you," and brought her information that her husband is still alive and is just held at a facility waiting to be transferred. This is vital information, so they decide on their next plan as the episode ends, leaving us in suspense for episode 4. Episode 4. Every episode starts with a glimpse into a character's past, and this time it's Johan with Alex, who was his best friend. They cared for each other, but unfortunately, Alex took a bullet and died, which is what Johan remembers. But you'll find out about Alex's superpower later. Laura is being transferred to another place, still a prison, but they exploit them there, as you will know. She finds the officer who interrogated her right next to her. "Oh, you became a prisoner like me?" Time really turns its back, and she hated him and was gloating, refusing to talk to him. Marcos, for his plan to help Laura escape, said he'd call a friend, and he actually went to a dog place and met a woman, his ex, Viewer, who was already gloating that his current girlfriend was arrested. As for our guys, they learned that the prisoners, Laura and the father, are being transported in a van, and they plan to ambush it and free them. First, they want to blow out the car tires. Who can do that? Andy. But Andy can't really control his powers. His sister said, "I'll train you to control the power and aim it at the tires," and he actually manages to do it. Of course, the father is sitting with Laura, telling her, "My kids will be locked up, you know the deal, my pension won't be enough," etc., trying to gain her sympathy. She tells him he deserves it, pointing out how many people he jailed when working for the state. And now that his kids are in the mutants' shoes, he finally realizes how oppressed mutants are. No. She decided not to forgive him. But when he said, "Well, help me so we can escape together," she said, "Fine. Since you want that, we'll escape. And I'll benefit, and we'll cooperate in breaking out." The favor Marcos's ex wanted in return was for him to make someone they kidnapped confess. How does he do it? He cranks up the light in his hand with his superpower, and if the person doesn't confess, the light blinds them. So anyone naturally confesses, and everything is peachy, and the plan starts tomorrow. But Clarice keeps getting flashbacks of her memories with Johan, feeling confused. Laura and the father are being transported. Clarice, overwhelmed by the memories, went to Johan and asked, "Is there something between us, or am I imagining things?" He told her there's nothing, and this is basically the first time he's seen her. Anyway, everyone is ready for the vans, and they will attack them. But the mother is worried about the kids, but they will do anything to get their dad out. The vans actually start arriving. Andy doesn't know how to blow the tires because he's not used to moving cars. So his sister starts calling him a failure and saying his power is useless to make him angry. And he starts using his power and blows out the tires. But the problem is they blew them in the wrong spot, not the agreed upon one. This is a problem, but no big deal. They all know how to attack. One of the mutants has the power of invisibility and goes to free them. But they discover a massive issue. Something is blocking everyone from using their superpowers, and nobody can use them. Here, Johan figured out what the mistake might be and kept walking. Meanwhile, the two in the van started fighting the guard to get out. What Johan suspected turned out to be true. His friend Alex from the beginning of the episode has the superpower to neutralize anyone else's power. But he's shocked. How is he alive? And even if he is, how is he working for the government? Naturally, the invisible guy's power faded. He got exposed and was shot. Marcos tried to help but got cornered. Everyone was shooting at him, putting him in a terrible position. They are all surrounded now, unable to use their powers, and were about to be killed. Until Marcos arrives, and when his friend falls, he finds a weird tattoo on his arm, which has some significance. Anyway, everyone gets their powers back. The catch is, Laura is locked in a fully plastic area, and she can only manipulate iron. So the father tells her, "Use the iron in my leg," which was a gift from a bullet. She actually used it, managed to break out of the van, and everyone could use their powers and started fighting back perfectly. After they escaped, the girl managed to open a portal quickly, and everyone went through and escaped. Episode 5. The flashback at the beginning of the episode explains a lot. The officer is sitting with his family, happy and feeling safe, but exactly on May 16th, a protest erupts between mutants and normal humans. He doesn't know what happens next, but a massive explosion occurs, causing his daughter, Lois, who was playing right in front of him, to burn and die. This led to 2 reasons. It made the officer hate mutants, and it made the whole world hate mutants, because they saw them as the cause of this explosion. Johann and Marcos, how is he working for the police and the government when he used to hate them? And since when does the government employ mutants? The father goes inside, checks on his kids, hugs them, and the family is reunited. The boy who was trying to escape, as soon as he saw the father, got into a huge fight with him because he used to work for the police and he felt he was a traitor, turning everyone in the facility against the father, seeing him as a traitor. The officer's wife calls him, making sure he comes home early today to visit their dead daughter. Anyway, the invisible boy who took a bullet is dying, and the mother is trying her best to use her medical skills to treat him. All the mutants see the mother's efforts, so the father, to show good faith and prove he's not a traitor, decides to help them and decode the police radios for them because they monitor the police and he can decrypt anything they say. Laura is riding in the car with her boyfriend Marcos when the police ambush them. She was thrilled and couldn't wait, especially wanting revenge against this bald guy, so she attacked them, kidnapped him, and wrapped a collar around his neck exactly like the one they put on her. At the same time, the mother is still trying to extract the bullet from the boy's stomach. The officer keeps remembering his daughter and told him about his dead daughter and why he hates mutants. They told him, "Right, but in the protest, mutants died too, so how could we hurt mutants like us?" But he didn't care at all. However, they felt bad for him, for his dead daughter, and for the tragedy he lives with. The father decides to make a half-sacrifice. He goes down to the street so the police can see him, follow him, and completely forget about the facility, allowing the people inside to escape. Meaning, he creates a diversion to prove to the mutants he's not a traitor and is on their side. He actually starts doing that, and the cameras record him. But there was an agreement between the father and the mutant who thought he was a traitor, that after he finishes exposing himself to the government and they look for him, he comes to pick him up to escape. Anyway, he started walking in the streets, and the surveillance cameras tracked and spotted him. The mother managed to get the bullet out, but accidentally cut an artery, and the blood is gushing, and the mutant looks like he's going to die. But the girl tries to use her power to stop the bleeding, while the mother stitches him up, and after a struggle, they save him. All the mutants witness the mother's struggle and respect her. After the father finishes his mission, he runs from the police and looks for the mutant who is supposed to help him escape, but can't find him. Did he betray him or what? While running, he finds the mutant who tells him, "I was just making sure you wouldn't betray me." They got in and escaped. As for our kids who kidnapped the officer, the police started closing in on them. At the same time, Matilda arrives and decides to read his memories to get information while the others try to hold off the police. While Matilda takes his memories, she finds the memories of his dying daughter and tries to ease his pain, but everyone says, "Let's run." The police are starting to throw tear gas. She wasn't done and said it's dangerous to leave him like this with scrambled memories, but they left him, went back, and discovered that the mutants are being taken to another place, the one in the picture with the same tattoo as Alex. Do they do something to them to make them join the police? Anyway, our son is eating with his family and is happy. Clarice found out that Matilda messed with her memories, so she went and scolded her, saying if she ever did it again, she would kill her. All of this is trivial. Let's get back to the officer. The officer goes back to his wife and says today was a good day, and asks her about his daughter Lucy. How is she? His wife is stunned. How can he ask about her when she's been dead for 4 years? The father starts crying and says, "What did they do to my memories?" And the episode ends. Episode 6. A boy named Matris tries to get close to Lauren. His power is useless except that he can make you see illusions. Clarice feels like a building doorman. "Open a portal for us, Clarice. Open a portal." And anyway, since the memory incident, she can't stand them. So she left them and walked away. The team decides to go to an unknown building to steal data, and since the portal opener left, Andy is the one who breaks the wall, so they can enter. The officer probably wasn't going to return to work if it weren't for a call from the doctor. Everyone is heading to steal the data, and Reed tries to get close to Andy, and it shows that Andy enjoys destroying things with his power, and the boy is wicked. The car gets stopped at a police checkpoint, and they are about to be exposed, but Marcos absorbs all the light in the car, and they escape in the dark by the skin of their teeth. In a sit-down between Marcos and the father, we learn about Marcos' sadness and his joy that the father is guiding his son, because Marcos' own dad kicked him out when he found out he was a mutant. And Marcos' girlfriend is going to give birth soon, and he wants to make up for the deprivation with his child. The doc decides to bring the officer back to work, but on the condition that he brings him Andy. Why does he want Andy? We'll find out. And any information the police get goes to the doc, and it seems the doc is controlling mutants and making them work for him, like the guy in the picture. How? You'll find out later. Matris dazzles Lauren with the illusory places he creates, and it looks like she's going to love him. They reach the building, Andy breaks the wall, and they go in to take files and hard drives. But the father was photographed there during his working days, and Marcos wants to burn the office for fingerprints, but the father refuses because of his picture. But in the end, it burns, and the police chase them. The women's gang decides to step in, accompanied by the illusion boy, and they ask them to speed up the car and drive straight into the checkpoint even if they think it's wrong. Andy wants to use his power so they don't die, Marcos tells him. Trust the women. And Lauren actually creates a bridge they jump off of. And the boy creates an illusion of 2 cars on 2 different roads to distract the police, and hit the real car with the illusion. Everything turned pink, and they are all with their loved ones, until Marcos gets a call from the ex blackmailing him, and the episode ends. Episode 7. The ex tells him, "Just as I helped you free your girlfriend, you come do me a favor." How did she help him? She found out the direction of the car his girlfriend was locked in. Johan decides to go get Clarice. Why? Because if she gets caught, the police will know where they all are. Lauren finds out Marcos was lying when he called the supply guys, and she's going to make his life miserable. The ex was telling Marcos, "Your mission is simple. We blow up some drugs belonging to some Russians. And that's it." The father finds out his daughter's boyfriend used to steal jewelry, which makes him dangerous for her. Johan reaches Clarice and tells her he will help her find the family that raised her. They arrive and discover the police killed them, so she decides to go back with him to get revenge for her family. Lauren sees Marcos with the ex, blows up the place, and the ex kisses him. Double your misery. He tries to explain that it's a debt because she helped her, but she doesn't understand. The most important information: the unknown building that experiments on mutants belongs to a company called Trask, and the father of Reed worked there for 35 years. Is he involved? He doesn't know. And the episode ends. Episode 8. It starts with an incident the doc saw a long time ago. Two unknown mutants. If they hold hands, their power becomes insanely destructive. In the present time, the father tells his family that their grandfather is likely involved and they need to visit him, even though he's been estranged from him for a long time because he treated him badly and wouldn't visit Reed in the hospital. New mutants arrive at the facility, including a mind-reading girl who says this mutant's thoughts are messed up. So she starts attacking them until she gets tied up and captured. And Clarice meets a little girl. Reed goes to his dad, whom he hasn't seen in 20 years, and it's clear he can't stand him, and the grandfather refuses to talk. Reed accuses him of not loving him and not caring about his grandkids. The grandfather explodes and tells him it's what he cares about the most, and reveals that his grandchildren inherited mutant powers from their ancestors. The two at the beginning of the episode with terrifying power, and that the grandfather himself is a mutant, but hid it so it wouldn't ruin his life. And he worked at the company to invent a serum to stop his son from mutating, which landed him in the hospital. The father realizes his dad's sacrifices and learns his kids inherited the power. The doc injects the girl, finds the mutant's location, and goes to the grandfather's house. To save his son, the grandfather confronts the doc, blows up the place, takes 2 bullets, and dies. The sisters hold hands, but the power doesn't activate, and the episode ends. Episode 9. It enters with the siblings' first touch a year ago. They felt something weird. The kids now know their ancestors' story and decide to try, holding each other's hands. The mom and dad were testing it out and nothing happened, but Andy and his sister tried, and oh boy, what a power. They felt like they were one person who could blow up the building. The facility decides to attack the unknown building. The parents monitor the cameras from the car. Johan and Marcos watch from afar, and the kids, Matilda and Clarice, blow up the security. The FBI gets wind of it and raids them, and a robot catches Clarice. Matilda locks the door and sacrifices herself, getting caught so the others can escape. The siblings get trapped in the garage as the FBI closes in. So they decide to use their power and blow the place up. But the brother stops at the last second because the building would collapse and kill people. They get captured. The mother sees them. The father stops her, and the episode ends. Episode 10. This is the highest rated one. It starts with the mind-reading girl, Esme. The officer enters the interrogation and threatens her with the worst revenge because she made him relive his daughter's death twice. The doc demands the mutants, specifically Andy and his sister, be brought to the lab. Matilda goes to the parents, knocks them out, and says, "Go negotiate with the officer." The doc puts the twins in an unbreakable room and demands they merge their powers. They refuse, so he brings in Clarice and Matilda, threatens them, and kills Matilda right in front of them. The twins are forced to hold hands, and an explosive power erupts, destroying the sensors and the place. The doctor is amazed because he discovered the secret. Negotiating with the officer doesn't work. Johan talks to him. The officer's conscience wakes up, and he decides to take the mutants to prison, and the doctor says Matilda disappeared. During their transfer, Esme electrocutes Marcos, controls the minds of everyone there, causes absolute chaos, and the episode ends. Episode 11. The 3 sisters are gathered with a prestigious man. Johan is sad, and a girl tries to get close to him. The father and family decide to travel to Mexico. The sisters turn the mutants against everyone, saying, "Why should we fear humans? and planting ideas of division. The mind-reading girl messes with Andy and Laurent's minds, telling them, "Fight." Laurent becomes stronger because her baby's energy merges with hers. The doc shows the officer a weapon, merged mutants, and they wreak havoc. The doc meets the minister, who funds his project, but demands he meets a senator. The facility joins the sisters, and Andy saves his family, escaping into the forest. Episode 1, to penultimate. The doc used to treat his friend a long time ago. A villain is not born a villain. The sisters and the mutants agree to go to the senator's state to destroy the doc. The doc wants the grandfather's research to stop the mutants. The parents go to the grandmother to keep her safe, while Andy is eager to crush whoever stands in his way. They kidnap a bodyguard to get into the conference. Andy attacks the police, and his sister stops him. The doc meets the senator and asks for 2 days, while the senator is running for elections. The mutants enter through portals, and Laura jams the cell phones. They confront the doc, who uses children as a shield, and it ends. Final episode. They escape from the building. The police bring tracker mutants, locate the facility, and attack. The facility initiates an evacuation, and Reed takes 4 people to distract the police. The senator and the dog are on a plane. The dog's brother was dying because of a mutant, which is why he hates them. Andy and his sister merge their powers and destroy the building with the mutants inside to hide their escape route. Laura destroys the plane, splitting it in half, and the doc dies. The Prime Minister reprimands the officer, and he resigns. In the end, the kids build a facility for peace, while Laura and the sisters form an organization to fight humans, and Andy uses his power, joins them, and stands against his family. And the season ends.